Tomorrow's tech and tomorrow's careers. That's who I am. And so why are we so obsessed with tech? We keep talking about tech, and why am I interested in tech? Because technology improves the quality of our lives, and it touches all our lives, right? So whatever we've seen as progress right through from when humankind started, starting with the fire, from discovering fire to the wheel to supercomputers and quantum, I think tech has actually improved the quality of our lives. And this is what we mean when we talk of quality of life. Recreation, housing, health now becomes very important with COVID, and our social cultural environment, school and education, everything. So everything gets improved because we use technology. So if you take a career in technology, you're actually doing service to humankind, because you're helping us improve the quality of lives of people around us. So I think you need to keep this big picture in your mind when you look at careers. What does tech really have to offer? So I thought about it, and I think it offers us speed, it offers us convenience, it offers us reliability, trust, it offers us access. We can reach remote areas. It offers us socializing, connectedness. You can talk to your alumni. I mean, a person as old as I am now connected to my school friends, and it offers you affordability. So as the previous speakers had spoken, the cost of data storage, the cost of data processing, the cost of electronic equipment, everything comes down, and we can access, enjoy, and do things effectively and conveniently at much lower costs. That's what tech does for us. And I think personally that tomorrow's tech has to address globally critical issues. It has to address climate change, which is the next big thing after the pandemic, I think. It has to address environment, health, anyway we are now sure of. Hunger across the world, we have to feed people, and the inequality that exists, which we talk about in webinars, but pretty much it has to be tech which has to drive somehow addressing this inequality, right? And I just wanted to mention, I think we don't have time, so I'm going to skip this, that 2 or 3 fascinating things, examples for students to look at. What kind of things would you like to do in future? The GPT-3, which everyone is talking about. So, you write an essay and a machine writes an essay, and you can't figure out who's the human and who's the machine. Neuralink, where you can, now control machines just by thinking. You don't even have to touch them. And finally, biotech and genetics, where you can, which I think with the pangolin and bat debate in COVID, we are seeing, microbiotech and bioinformatics play out, right? So this is the kind of tech that's happening. So I think the next 5 or 10 years, our lives are going to change dramatically. And at its simplest, all of this means data and technology. See, this is where I wanted to come to. So whether you're doing Neuralink, whether you're doing GPT-3, it requires 175 billion parameters, right? So you have to actually handle that kind of data. So it all boils down to data and technology. So you look at the technology proficiency scales, you can go from a technophobe, somebody who's scared of technology, to a technophile, somebody who's obsessed with technology kind of. And you could be at any place between beginner and advanced, and you can still make a contribution, and you can still have a career, right? Similarly with data, you could start with data literacy, I understand numbers, to data familiarity, to data fluency, I'm good with numbers, to data leadership, where you lead data teams, right? So you don't have to be a data leader to have a career in this. You can be pretty much be somewhere in the middle, both in technology and data, but you have to be curious, you have to be a problem solver, and you have to be diligent, right? So what can we do with data? We can make it available. We can make it secure. I think Professor Ray talked about it, and we can analyze it to draw insights. So that gives you 3 careers straight away: data engineering, cybersecurity, and data science. These are the 3 programs we run as an addition to what we do in the PGDM, because we feel that these 3 careers are going to be very critical if we are going to go forward in this digital transformation. And if India is going to kind of be one of the leaders, we have to have skills in all 3 of these. If we don't have safe data, we can't go forward. If we can't make data available, and if we can't kind of manage and draw insights out of data, we get left behind. So these are the 3 careers that I think are extremely one is that they are very profitable. The other is they're going to be a lot of jobs there. And the third is, as I said, you'll be doing good to humankind if you get into these, right? So tomorrow's careers, what is the world that we have? We have a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. So we need people like you to be able to manage a world which is, I mean, uncertainty. I mean, who knew COVID is going to happen? Yeah. And volatile, look at the oil prices and you'll know what volatility is. So how can we use technology and data to manage this world, right? So that's the other thing you have to remember. And finally, what do you do to be ready for tomorrow's careers? And this is something which I thought is as important as getting your hard skills in data and technology. I was speaking last, I knew everybody would talk about it. So I think you have to become very good learners, because anything you study is going to change very quickly. Okay, the same technologies are not going to be there 2 years from now, maybe 6 months from now. So you have to have the ability and the courage to learn quickly. I'm an old man, right? So as I've grown older, the courage to learn goes down, because you don't want to, you don't want to learn, you don't want to be seen as somebody who doesn't know, right? But you have to have the courage to learn quickly on your own, and the ability and learn all your life. You have to be critical thinkers. You have to think about every problem from all directions. You have to improve your ability to think. If you can improve your ability to think, you can pretty much do any job anywhere. You have to be good communicators. I think both Dr. Ghosh and the person who spoke before him talked about communication. It's a very intrinsic skill. I think some of us have been called to this webinar because we can talk and address you. You need to be doing that 5 years from now. And the biggest thing about communication is listening. You should become good listeners. Listen and absorb, learn from others, learn by observation, ask right questions, don't take things for granted, be skeptical, question the data, question the technique, question the technology. Okay, there is no innovation if you don't question, right? And become effective collaborators, because you're not going to work in an island, you're going to work with people, you're going to work with people across the world. Working from home, it doesn't really matter where you are sitting. So you need to have the skills to work together with other people. You need to be able to embrace diversity, types of people, culturally, gender-wise, from religion-wise, doesn't really matter. And you need to work together with them. And you have to be a driver of transparency and integrity. With AI really driving everything, we have to make sure that AI is unbiased, AI is ethical, and yours is the generation that is going to drive that. So over and above the hard skills of data and technology that you must now acquire, please remember that these skills that I've put on these slides are at least as important, if not more important, to build careers in this and to take up leadership positions in future. So this is what I had to share actually with you. I'll be happy to. I wish we had more time for questions and answers. Thank you very much for listening to me and for listening to everybody else.